Hi students. In the previous class, we discussed about analogy between vectors and signals. Okay, analogy between vectors and signals. That is, when two vectors are orthogonal and when two signals are orthogonal. All these are discussed in the previous class. Okay, they had given some work to you also. So I asked you to find out the value of C12. I asked you to find out the value of C12 to get the minimum error. The error signal should be very minimum. Then what will the value of C12? I had given you the equation for C12 also, and I asked you to prove that one. Okay. Now I think many of you not done the work. Now I am going to do that on the board now itself. So before going to that, I am going for the revision of the previous class for a few minutes. First of all, in the last class, what we discussed. So in the last class, first we went for the vectors. Okay. So how one vector is represented in the form of another vector. One vector represented in the form of another vector. That is, let us take, there are two vectors, v1 bar and v2 bar. We all know that vectors are represented with bold letters or an arrow mark on the top. Okay, so the two vectors. Now I want to represent vector v1 in terms of vector v2. So that will be represented by v1 bar equal to c12 v2 bar plus v bar. This is error vector. I already explained you all these concepts in the previous class. Now after that, I gone for what is the value of C12. So here the value of C12 is nothing but V1 bar dot V2 bar by V2 square. So these are the vectors and this is the magnitude. Okay. So this also can be written as a V1 bar dot V2 bar by V2 bar dot V2 bar. So you can write both the same because you know the dot. What is the dot product of V2 bar dot V2 bar? What is the dot product of A bar and B bar? Dot product of A bar and B bar is nothing but mod of A bar into mod of B bar into cos of the angle between A bar and B bar. So here both the vectors are same. Here both the vectors are same. So the angle will be equal to 0. So cos 0 equal to 1. So what we will get? Mod of V2 bar into mod of V2 bar cos 0, that is 1. So mod of V2 bar is V2. V2 into V2, V2 square. So we are simply write as V2 square. This is the magnitude. Okay. So this all explained. I explained all this in the previous class. Now, when we say two vectors are orthogonal, simply the value of C12 is 0. If the value of C12 equal to 0, then I can say that two vectors are orthogonal to each other. I proved it in the last class. Okay. Now, you can say two vectors are orthogonal if the dot product is also equal to 0, because if C12 equal to 0, V2 square into 0 is 0. That is, the dot product of two vectors will be equal to 0. Simply, in this place, if you write as 0, what happens? 0 equal to V1 bar dot V2 bar by V2 square. So cross multiply. So V2 square into 0, 0. That implies V1 bar dot V2 bar will be equal to 0. Simply, if the dot product of two vectors is 0, then we can say that two vectors are orthogonal to each other. Okay. So this is regarding vectors. Now coming down to the signals. Now I will explain the concept of signals with the help of the concept that I explained for vectors. So here I represented one vector in terms of another vector. In the same way, there are two signals. The first one is x1 of t and the second one is x2 of t. Here the vectors are v1 bar and v2 bar. Here the signals are x1 of t and x2 of t. So now I want to represent x1 of t in terms of x2 of t. Now I want to represent x1 of t in terms of x2 of t. How can I represent? So in the same way that I had represented for vectors, the same way I will represent for the signals also. So this is nothing but the analogy. Okay, there is a strong comparison between signals and vectors. So there I explained everything. Now seeing on the equation, I can write the equation for signals also. Now here I can represent x1 of t x1 of t in terms of x2 of t as x1 of t equal to c v1 bar equal to same x1 of t equal to c12 x2 of t c12 v2 bar plus there is an error vector. In the same way here also we have the error signal. The error signal is represented with xc of t. Simple logic. So now I can represent one signal in terms of the other signal. That is, I can represent x1 of t in terms of x2 of t. I can express x1 of t in terms of x2 of t as x1 of t equal to c12 x2 of t plus xc of t. I already explained everything in the previous class. So I am going for the outlines. Now from this equation I can get the error signal also. From this equation I can get the error. What is the error signal now? I need the error signal xc of t, which will be equal to x1 of t minus c12 x2 of t. So this is our error signal. When this error signal is minimum, then the approximation of x1 of t is almost equal to the c12 x2 of t. Why? Because here if xc of t equals 0, xc of t equal to 0, the error is 0. What happens? Then I perfectly represent x1 of t in terms of x2 of t. x1 of t in terms of x2 of t. When if xc of t equal to 0, there is no error. That is, x1 of t will be equal to c12 x2 of t. But practically there should be a little bit error. So what we have to do? We have to minimize that error. If the error is minimized, then the approximation of x1 of t in terms of x2 of t is perfect. So this xc of t should be very, very small. Then the approximation is almost perfect. So for that reason, we have to get minimum value for this xc of t. So how will we get that minimum value of this xc of t? So for that, we have to find out average of the squared error. Average of the squared error. So now first we have to, what we have to do? Average. First we have to do average of the squared error. So average is also called as mean. Average is also called as mean. So we have to find out mean. Mean means mean squared error. Mean square error. Now in the last class I had given you the work. What that work is? You have to find out the value of c12. You have to find out the value of c12. Okay. Now here we need the mean square error. Okay, now average of the squared error. So how can you get the average of the squared error for this one? Simply, squared error means xc square of t. Okay, now square of the error. Now I need the mean. How can you get the mean for this? So I have to calculate the mean. Means is average. Average means, so I have to add all the terms in the numerator, and in the denominator I have to write the count of the numbers that are present in the numerator. Simply for that, signals, for that reason, for signals, what we have to do? For signals, we have to go for integration. Integration is nothing but summation. So we have to go for integral limits t1 to t2. Now consider these two signals are present over the interval t1 less than t less than t2. So consider these two signals are present in the interval t1 to t2. Now, so I am taking integral t1 to t2 x square of t dt. So this will give addition of all the values of x square of t inside the limits t1 to t2. Now then what I have to do? I have to go for the denominator. So in general, how can you get average? I will add all the terms in the numerator, and in the denominator I will write the count of the numbers, number count. So here also I have to write the total period. So the total period is this upper limit, the lower limit. So I have to write t2 minus t1. Let's take this is 5, this is 15. So 15 minus 5, the total length is 10. In the same way I have to write as t2 minus t1. So this is the what one? Average of the squared error. Mean square of the error. Okay. Now this one the mean square of the error. Now I will denote that mean square error or average of the square error, average of the square error with italic epsilon. So I am representing all this one with the letter this one, italic epsilon. Okay, so I am denoted that average of the squared error, mean square of the error with an italic epsilon, like this. So you can take anything. I had taken this one. Generally, there is some textbooks they will take as capital E. So these are like E, italic E. So you can take this symbol for that one. Okay. Now, finally, what we know? So here we know the equation for average of the squared error. There is nothing but the mean square of the error. Okay, now mean square of the error. Now this should be very minimum. If it is a minimum value, then that is error. So we have to we don't have to directly minimize the error. So we have to minimize the error by minimizing the average of the squared error. That is mean square error. Okay. Now, so we have to minimize this. Now, for this, we have to choose the value of C12 because C12 plays the major role. So it will give us similarities between the two signals. Here also the C12 will give the similarities between the two vectors, and here also the C12 will give the similarity between the two signals. That is based on the value of C12. Here I can say whether the two vectors are orthogonal or not. In the same way, based on the value of C12, here I can say the two signals are orthogonal or not. So in the previous class, I explained the concept of vectors and orthogonality. The same thing I am going here also. Okay, I am going for the analogy of vectors, what I explained in the previous class, here also for the signals. So based on the value of C12, if this C12, I have to choose that value of C12 to such that we have to get the minimum error. So this italic epsilon, that is mean square of the error or average of the squared error should be minimum. So for that we have to select the value of C1 to minimize this value. We have to select the value of C12 to minimize this average of the squared error. I have to select the value of C12. Now we have to find out the value of C12. So that is the work I had given to you. So you have to find out value of C12. So many of you are not done that one. So and you asked me to do it. So for that reason I am doing that one and now. So you know this one. What is the condition that I had given to you at that point? What is the condition that I had given to you at that point? Condition. Simply. So to choose the value of C12 for minimizing the squared of the average of the squared error. So we have to choose or we have to select the value of C12 for minimizing the mean square of the error. That will be done by differentiating this mean square error with respect to the constant, what we are going to find out with respect to the constant, and making that value as equal to 0, So this is the condition what I had given to you previously. Okay, so we have to go for a differentiation now. We have to go for a differentiation of this mean square of the error with respect to the constant C12 and make that value is equal to 0. Then we get the value of C12 such that the mean square of the error is very minimum. So we will do this. What will get? The value of C12, where the value of this mean square error is very minimum. For that reason, this is the condition. Okay, this is the condition to select the value of or to find out the value of C12 for minimum mean square of error of the signal. Okay, so for this you all know the equation for this one. Now first I will go for this one. What is epsilon? So you all know what is that italic and epsilon. So or E, you can italic E, you can treat like that. Or simply you can go for mean square of the error. Simply, average of the squared error means square error of the signal. Okay, mean square of the error. Okay, that one will be equal to, so what that one, this is the value, so how can I write? 1 by t2 minus t1, 1 by t2 minus t1 integral t1 to t2 xc square of t dt. So this is the equation. Remember it. This is the equation for mean square error of the signal, average of the squared error, or mean square of the error. So this is the equation. Now I have to differentiate this one with respect to the constant C12, because we have to find out the value of that constant. So we have to differentiate this one with respect to the constant, and we have to make it equal to 0. If you make that one equal to 0, then I get the value of C12 for minimized mean square error of the signal. Okay, this one, first thing. Now how can you calculate? Simply, first we need the equation for xc of t. What is xc of t? Error signal. xc of t, I already explained. The error signal will be given by x1 of t minus c12 x2 of t. Now what we need? xc square of t. We need xc square of t. What is xc square of t? So from this, what is xc square of t? X e square of t will be equal to, what should I write? So this is xc of t, I need the square. So x1 of t minus c12 x2 of t whole square. Simple, because we all know this xc of t. Now I am going for the square of that value. So xc square of t will be equal to x1 of t minus c12 x2 of t whole square. So this is the one which we have to remember, because we have to differentiate this. One. Okay, mean square error. In that mean square error, we got the value of xc of t, xc square of t, and I know the value of xc of t, so I am squaring that value. Okay, this one. Now, so go on with the derivation to find out the value of C12. So before going to the derivation, I am explaining the topics once again simply. So here, first I explained you the topics with respect to vectors. How one vector can be represented in form of another vector. So using that, I gone for the representation of one signal in terms of another signal. So here I had taken two signals. So with the help of vectors concepts, I represented x1 of t in terms of x2 of t. Okay, this is the first one. Next, so there is an error vector in vectors. In the same way, here we have the error signal. In signals concept. So on comparing these two, I will get x1 of t equal to c12 x2 of t plus xe of t. So from that, I can get the error signal value. Okay, error signal value. So, but if the error is minimum, very, very less. If it is 0, then x1 of t equal to same one. If it is less, then what we can write? x1 of t is approximately equal to c12 x2 of t. Simply, I am writing again. Okay, x1 of t is approximately equal to c12 x2 of t. Yeah. So this one, x1 of t is approximately equal to c12 x2 of t. So here also we can write vector v1. The component of vector v1 along v2 is c12 v2 bar. So in the same way, I can write x1 of t is approximately equal to c12 x2 of t. So how can we read? This is the component of v1 along v2, the component of v1 along v2. Here also we can say that the component of x1 of t along x2 of t. So we can say that the component of x1 of t along x2 of t. So these are representations. Now I am going for the derivation. I am going for the derivation to find the value of C12. So you all know the value of xc of t. Then I go on for xc square of t, and finally I got an equation for this mean square of the error. Okay. Now the value of C12. Now the value of C12 which minimizes the average of the squared error will be found from the value of C12 which minimizes the mean square of the error will be found from d epsilon d C12 will be equal to 0, will be from the equation, or simply d by d C12 will be equal to 0. Okay. Now we have to go for the differentiation of mean square of the error. Come on. So we go for the differentiation. We go for the differentiation. That implies differentiation with respect to C12 of what is the value of that mean square error? I already given you the equation. The value of mean square error is 1 by t2 minus t1 integral t1 to t2 integral t1 to t2 x e square of t dt, x e square of t dt. Okay, so that will be equal to 0. That will be equal to 0. So in place of x square of t, what we can write? In place of x square of t, what we can write? So here in place of x square of t, we can write x1 of t minus c1 to x2 of t whole square, x1 of t minus c1 to x2 of t whole square. So then how the equation will changes? So how the equation cannot see? That implies the same equation, d by d c1 to 1 by t2 minus t1 integral t1 to t2. Okay, here we know that we all know the value of, what is the value of xc of t? What is the value of xc of t? The value of xc of t is, anyone? Yeah, xc of t will be equal to x1 of t minus c1 to x2 of t. Okay, now so that is I need the x square of t. Then what I have to go for? x1 of t minus c1 to x2 of t whole square. So here I have to substitute this value. So substitute that value in this place. So x1 of t minus c1 to x2 of t whole square dt, that will be equal to 0. Again, simplify. Differentiation with respect to c12 of 1 by t2 minus t1 integral t1 to t2 a minus b whole square. What is the formula for a minus b whole square? A square minus 2ab plus b square. So here I am using the formula of a minus b whole square. Consider this as a, consider whole the term as b. So a minus b whole square, a square minus 2ab plus b square. So square of this one. So I have to write a square x1 square of t minus 2ab to a x1 of t b c1 to x2 of t. Okay, 2ab plus b square c12 square x2 square of t. Actually c12 into x2 of t whole square. So I am neglecting c12 square into x2 square of t. Okay, so this is a square minus 2ab plus b square. So I expanded this one with respect to dt. and the value will be equal to 0. So we are making the value equal to 0 to find out the value of C12 for minimum mean square of the error. Okay, so this is the equation. Now let us go on this one. Now, so here change the order of integration, interchange the order of integration and differentiation, interchange the order of integration and differentiation for simplification of the problem. Okay, now to simplify the problem easily, we are interchanging the differentiation and integration. That implies how can you write? Simply, how can you write? So first I'm taking as 1 by t2 minus t1, 1 by t2 minus t1. Okay, into next I will go for the integration t1 to t2. Okay, t1 to t2. Now interchanging. So first actually there is differentiation. I am keeping integration first and differentiation next. So take this one. So what happens? D by dc12 into, and here is a minus b plus c. So I am separating a, integration of a minus b plus c. So integration of a dt, integration of b dt, integration of c dt. So I am separating. Okay, so this is, let us take a, b, three terms. So I am separating this one. So first integration of this one minus integration of this one plus integration of third one. So simply in this way, first I am going for this one only. So d by dc1 to x1 square of t dt, the first term I written. Next minus second term also what I have to go for? Integration t1 to t2. So interchange, I have to interchange. So first I did an integration and then I have to go for, because this differentiation is also for all the three terms, so I have to write the differentiation here also. So I have to differentiate with respect to C12. Whose value? This value. Which value? This value, that is 2. I am writing C12 at the end. 2 into x1 of t, x2 of t, C12. Okay, dt. Next, third one, plus integral t1 to t2, integral t1 to t2 again. So differentiation also for three terms. So we have to exchange. So first I am writing integration and then writing differentiation. D by dc12, and the last term is c12 square x2 square of t dt. Okay, so this whole term, actually this whole term is multiplied by 1 by t2 minus t1, and which will be equal to 0, okay. So this is the one. So I am simplifying this term, so simplifying this, so finally I got this one. Okay, now 1 by t2 minus t1. So if we cross multiply, t2 minus t1 goes outside, t2 minus t1 into 0 is 0. So there is no need to write this t2 minus t1. So that implies what happens? There is no need to write t2 minus t1 because t2 minus t1 into 0 equal to 0. So I am writing this one. Okay. Now I am going for the integration t1 to t2. Now I am going for the differentiation of x1 square of t with respect to c12. See, in this term I am differentiating this with respect to c12. So in x1 square of t there is no c12, there is no one. So we can have to treat this one as constant. So differentiation of constant with respect to c12 is equal to 0. Okay. So first I gone for the cross multiplication and this will be as 0. First thing. Next, here for this I am differentiating with respect to c12. The term is x1 square of t. So in this x1 square of t there is no c12. So we have to treat this as a constant. So differentiation of constant with respect to c12 is 0. So this term I will get 0. Next, minus integral t1 to t2. Now I am differentiating this complete term with respect to c12. So here this is the differentiation term c12. So we have differentiated with respect to c12 and treat remaining as constant. Let us take what is the differentiation of 2x. Differentiation of 2x with respect to x. Differentiation of 2x with respect to x is nothing but 2. Here differentiation of this term 2 into x1 of t into x2 of t into c12 with respect to c12. So here the three terms are constant. So what we will get? The differentiation of 2 into some constant into some constant, differentiation of some constant into c12 with respect to c12 is that constant value. So here the constant value is 2 into x1 of t into x2 of t. So what we get? Integral. Okay, because this term is 0, integration of 0 is also 0, so I written as 0. And what about this one? Because if you go for the cross multiplication, this will also becomes, if you go, bring that side, so then I will take that to that side. Okay, 0 minus integral t1 to t2, okay. So differentiation of this one with respect to c12, we get 2 into x1 of t, x2 of t. Simple. Differentiation of 2x with respect to x is nothing but 2. So here also differentiation of this one with respect to c12. So here this is the c12, this is a variable, and we have to treat all these as constants. So I have to write the constants here. So 2 into x1 of t into x2 of t. Okay, no? So this is the differentiation value on dt is like. Next plus integral t1 to t2, integral t1 to t2. Now come to differentiation of this term with respect to c12. So here x2 square of t is a constant. Here the main differentiation term is c12. So this is the 1 and this is a constant. So now I need, what is the differentiation of x square with respect to x? Differentiation of x square with respect to x. So nothing but 2x. What is the differentiation of 2x square, 3x square? Differentiation of 3x square with respect to x. What happens? So 2 into 3x, that is 6x. So in the same way, I need the differentiation of this term with respect to c12. So this is the square term. I have to write the constant as it is. So constant as it is. So I have to write x2 square of t. I have written the constant as it is. Okay. Next, c1 square, c12 square, what? 2 into c12, 2 into c12. So I can write 2 into c12, or I can write 2 here also, 2 c12. So the differentiation of this term with respect to c12 will give 2 into x2 square of t into c12. Because it is constant, I have written the constant. Differentiation of 3 into x square. First I will write 3 and x square differentiation. X square is 2x. So 3 into 2 into x. So here also this is the constant. So I have written the constant as this. Okay. Next, differentiation of c12 square. So 2 into c12. So 2 into some constant into c12. Okay. So this is the one. Now dt. So this is one. That will be equal to 0. That will be equal to 0. So t2 minus t1. Bring this side. 0 into t2 minus t1. Which is nothing but 0. Okay, I have taken that one. Okay, and lastly, now integration of this one t1 to t2 into 2 into x1 of t, x2 of t dt. We have to find. No need to find out anything from this, because in this equation, what we need the value of this c12 only. We need the value of this c12 only. So for that reason, so I am writing this one, integral t1 to t2, so 2 x1 of t, x2 of t dt plus integral t1 to t2. Okay, now I need what one? Which one? c12. I need the value of c12. Here in this we are integrating with respect to dt. So what happens? c12 will become as a constant here. Okay, now so I can take the c12 value outside. c12 and 2 is a constant. I can take 2 also outside. Okay, so if you want to clearly write, you can write the 2 as outside or inside, whatever it may be. There is no issue. So here 2 x2 square of t and c12 is a constant. I am keeping this as outside, c12. Okay, that will be equal to, so here the sign minus sign. Okay, that will be equal to x2 square dt, that will be equal to 0. See, Yeah. So this one. Now that implies I am writing here, that implies what happens, see. So minus a plus b equal to 0. Minus a plus b equal to 0. How can you write? So b minus, if the minus goes outside, that will become as plus. So b equal to a. In the same way, here are two terms, one term with minus and one term with plus. So I am taking the minus term to the other side. So what happens finally? So I am taking 2 as outside. I am also bringing 2 outside. So 2 C12, because it is a constant, integral T1 to T2 x2 square of t dt, x2 square of t dt will be equal to, so it's a positive term. Now it has a minus term on the left side. So if you go for the right side, it will become the positive term. That will be equal to positive plus term. So minus c. So this is the minus, the continuation minus, and the same minus. So this is coming in the formula of a minus b whole square. So in the a minus b whole square formula, a square minus 2ab plus b square. So the minus is continuing here. Okay. Now this minus goes to the right side, it will come as plus. So the equation is integral t1 to t2. So I am taking out 2 as outside. That is 2 into integral t1 to t2, because it is a constant. I am taking outside x1 of t into x2 of t dt. So these are values. Now, so which one gets cancelled? These two gets cancelled. Okay. But now what I need here, these two gets cancelled, and the value of C12. So from this equation, can you tell me what is the value of C12? So I asked you to find out the value of C12. So from this equation, you can find the value of C12. Yeah, that's right. So finally, it implies C12 will be equal to, finally the C12 will be equal to, so what happens? Integral T1 to T2 x1 of t x2 of t dt divided by, so bring this one this side, integral T1 to T2 x2 square of t dt. So this is the formula for find the value of C12. Okay, C12 such that this mean square error is very minimum. Okay, na? Mean square error of the signal is minimum. So in this way we have to find out the value of C12. Okay, now we have to go for next thing. C12 value. We already find the value of C12. What is the value of C12 in case of vectors? What is the value of C12 in case of vectors? You already know. In case of vectors, the value of C12 will be equal to V1 bar dot V2 bar by V2 square. You already know this. I already explained you. So this is the equation of C12 in case of vectors. So in vectors, when we say the two vectors are orthogonal to each other, whenever C12 equal to 0. So I am going for the analogy of the signals with respect to vectors. So in vectors, if C12 value is 0, then the two vectors are orthogonal to each other. In the same way, if C12 value is 0, the two signals are said to be orthogonal to each other. The two signals are nothing but orthogonal signals. So if C12 equal to 0, then we can say the two signals are orthogonal. That is, they are perpendicular to each other like that. Okay, because I am going for the analogy between vectors and signals. So here this is the equation for C12 in case of vectors, and this is the equation for C12 in case of signals. So if C12 value is 0, the two vectors are orthogonal. In the same way, if the C12 value is 0, the two signals are orthogonal. Next, so here, see, if we put 0 here, the denominator cross multiply, the denominator will go this side, the denominator will be into 0, is 0. That is, if C12 equal to 0, see here, if C12 equal to 0, here, C12 equal to 0, what happens? Integral T1 to T2 x1 of t into x2 of t equal to 0. Okay, so simple remember, For in case of vectors, if this is 0, v2 square into this one is 0. So what happens? v1 bar dot v2 bar equal to 0. This is the case for vectors, and this is the case for signals. So from these two equations I can say that if the dot product of two vectors is 0, then the two vectors are orthogonal to each other. Simply, the dot product of two vectors is 0, then the two vectors are orthogonal to each other. Why? Because if C12 is 0, the two vectors are orthogonal. I had placed C12 equal to 0. V2 square into 0 is 0. So V1 bar dot V2 bar becomes 0. That is, for orthogonal vectors, the dot product of the two are nothing but zeros. Or reverse it. If the dot product of two vectors is 0, then we can say that two vectors are orthogonal. In the same way, when we say two signals are orthogonal, we can say the two signals are orthogonal if C12 equal to 0. So I have substituted C12 equal to 0 here, and this one is multiplied by C12, that is 0. So this is multiplied by 0, that is 0. So if two signals are orthogonal, the condition is integral t1 to t2 x1 of t x2 of t equal to 0. That is, for two signals to be orthogonal, first one is C12 is 0, C12 equal to 0, and the next one is important one, integral of product of the two signals over the given interval must and should be equal to 0. This is the important number. So when we say the two signals are orthogonal, we will say the two signals are orthogonal if the integral of the product of the two signals, two signals over the given interval, is equal to 0. The condition is this one. Here, integral of product of two signals. Here, consider the two signals as x1 of t and x2 of t. So x1 of t into x2 of t is product of two signals. Integral of the product of the two signals over the interval t1 to t2 equal to 0. Then I can say these two signals are orthogonal signals. So these two signals are orthogonal signals. Remember it. This is a very, very important point. So they will ask you the problems. They will give two signals. x1 of t equal to something like as 3t. And x2 of t equal to 1 minus 2t. They will give two signals, x1 of t and x2 of t. And they will ask you to find out whether the two signals are orthogonal or not. You have to find out the two signals are orthogonal or not. How can you find out? So there is no constant of C12. There we have to use this one. With the help of the C12 equal to 0, I got this equation. So whenever they had given two signals, and they asked you to find out whether they are orthogonal or not, you have to go for this equation. So you have to integrate the product of the two signals, over the given interval. We have to go for that one. So we have to integrate the product of the given two signals over the given interval. If that value is equal to 0, then you can say the two signals are orthogonal. Otherwise, you can say the two signals are not orthogonal to each other. Okay, this is the main condition. So for vectors, if the dot product of two vectors is 0, then you can say the two vectors are orthogonal. In the same way, my important one, integral of product of two signals over the given interval is equal to 0. So remember this one. Integral t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt. You have to write dt. Don't forget to write dt, because whenever there is an integration, you have to write dt. Everywhere you have to write dt. So integral t1 to t2 x1 of t x2 of t dt equal to 0. The same way, x1 of t x2 of t dt dt should be equal to 0. So don't forget to write dt. If it doesn't write the dt, then it will be a wrong constant. Okay, you have to write dt for integration. You all know that it's a basic thing. So this is regarding the analogy between signals and vectors. So the whole concept is to prove the only one thing. Whenever two signals are given, so how to find out the signals are orthogonal or not? So that will be found out by the equation this one. That is integral t1 to t2 x1 of t x2 of t dt will be equal to 0. Then the two signals are orthogonal. Otherwise, they are not orthogonal. Now compare the analogies. What is the analogy? So in vectors, if C12 equal to 0, the two vectors are orthogonal. in signals, if C12 equal to 0, the two signals are orthogonal, first one. And this one, the magnitude of the square of the vector, second vector, will be equal to integral of square of the signal over the given interval. So the magnitude value of the square of the vector is equal to the integral of the square of the signal over the given interval. So these are the analogies for vectors and signals. So I am concluding it. I am giving a brief summary. So summary for this class is, so here I had gone for the analogy between signals and systems, and in this class mainly I gone for the finding the value of C12. I am finding the value of C12. So here my main concentration is how to get the value of C12 to get the minimized mean square error. So this is the main criteria. So I gone for the derivation of finding the value of C12. So finally I find the value of C12 and I equated this C12 for signals with the C12 for vectors and I concluded with two statements. That is, if the dot product of the two vectors is 0, then the vectors are orthogonal, and the integration of the product of the two signals is 0 over the given interval, then the two signals are orthogonal. So I concluded this one and I gone for the analogies of vectors and signals. So this is for today's class. So next class we will continue for the remaining topics Thank you one and all.